broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round. And you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Mountain, we gon' walk it out.
This match all but ended. It's Crystal Palace 8, Southend United.
And we'll rise up. I like the waves. We'll rise up. In spite of the ache, we'll rise up. And we'll do it 1,000 times again.
It's Eastwood this time! Oh, what a goal!
Thank you for taking me out.
This club just does not know when it is beaten!
Welcome back to Shrimpers TV for another episode of Shrimperstalks. Today I'm joined by Rylee. Rylee's been working very hard on his charity cup chats during lockdown. Before we start, I'll leave a link to them in the description down below. Go and check them out. But Rylee, thank you very much for coming on. Do you want to just talk us through what your charity cup entails and what the match was supposed to be like if it would have gone ahead?
Yeah, so firstly, thanks for having me on. And obviously, for those Southend fans who do know, we've done the charity matches since 2016, and they've just got bigger and bigger every year. I mean, I was on BBC Essex at the start of the year talking about it. We had the support of Leyton Orient, Southend United, and it probably would have been a really big event, but unfortunately, things don't always go our way.
No.
Lockdown happened, so I just thought, because obviously the J3 Foundation and Havens are great charities, and they need the support now more than ever. So I thought, what could I do to, help them in this time? So I've always been interested in hearing footballers' stories. Sometimes they can't always reveal what they want in club interviews.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a few of the players who's helped us, maybe whether it was this year or past years, and the response has been really good. So we talked to them about their career, things that they probably wouldn't be able to reveal in a professional capacity. And it's just gone from there, really.
Yeah, and with your channel as well, did you want to just plug it quickly? We'll try and raise some subscribers quickly.
Yeah, so it's called the Essex Charity Cup. It's linked all in my Twitter, Instagram, things like that. And I think by the time this goes live, we'll have 10 episodes or up there, maybe 11.
Yeah, I'll leave a link to all of them in the description as well.
Cheers.
And like you said, the response has been absolutely brilliant all over social media for it. Any clues on what the goal is at the moment or how much you have raised in total?
Yeah, so obviously I've never done anything like it before. I wasn't sure whether it'd be well received or not. If you watch it, the first one, you could probably hear my voice crackle a bit, how nervous I was. But as they've gone on, I'm sure you find it yourself. You probably get a bit more confident.
Yeah, a lot more confident, yeah.
Yeah, and I've got 12 episodes filmed. We're trying to get to 20. This week, thanks to a very generous donation from the Paphitis Charitable Trust, we've smashed it out of the park. For J3 Foundation and Havens, we're now up to £1,700, which I mean, considering we can't leave our bedroom, is unbelievable.
That's unreal.
Yeah, and that also means that thankfully we've now raised £10,000 since we started. So it's been a pretty good week, pretty humbling.
That's been absolutely brilliant. And there'll also be a link to donate down below. Donate wherever you can, no matter what. How small, how big, be sure to support two amazing charities.
Cheers.
Now, onto lockdown football. We've seen the introduction of the Premier League, the Bundesliga, the Liga. What have been your thoughts on having no crowds at these games and in the playoffs as well?
Yeah, so I don't really watch the Premier League too much. I kind of stick to League One, lower league. That's what I'm good for. But I've bought a Now TV pass to try and get me by, and I mean, it's all right. It's not really the same, is it? It's benefited some teams, hindered the others. But I think the best games we've seen have been the playoffs, which are obviously on tonight.
Yeah, so we've got the playoff final tonight when this is being filmed. Obviously, Wycombe Wanderers and Oxford United. Oxford, who went through on dramatic style in penalties. and Wickham, who went through beating Fleetwood, I believe it was 6-3 on aggregate. Should be a close game. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I think Wickham haven't beat Oxford in about 5 years, so probably on paper Oxford are the favourites. But I mean, even though there is that sort of rivalry between Wickham and Southend, I would like to see him do it, because when we played Wickham away, Gareth Ainsworth obviously come over, thanked the fans, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, and I think he also supported some of the work that they've done walking to the Gillingham ground as well. With that, I think he spoke out about that too. Gareth Ainsworth, I mean, fantastic manager. He's been there for years now. I think it's nothing more than he deserves. Same for Carl Robinson, I believe it is, at Oxford too. Two amazing clubs, and I think they both really have worked hard to be where they are right now too.
Definitely.
With the lower leagues, obviously, we've unfortunately been relegated to League Two. We saw Northampton 4-0 in that playoff final. What do you think about that game as well? Yeah,
so I was actually at work when it happened, but I managed to get it on the radio. And I just Northampton attack after attack. I think Exeter have lost 3 of the last 4 playoff finals.
Yeah, they have an absolutely terrible record at Wembley.
Yeah,
especially.
You've got to feel for them. It is a long way to go for a defeat.
Yeah, and there's quite a few interesting draws that we've got when it comes to League Two next season. Obviously, quite a few local derbies. We've got Leyton Orient, Colchester, even down to some of the other clubs in the league. Some great rivalries with them. Also, some good away days. We've got Carlisle, now Exeter, Barrow too, newly promoted. Congratulations to them. What are your thoughts on some of them rivalry games?
Yeah, I mean, when you have to deal with relegation, it's probably hard to look at them, because you always want to be above your rivals. But I mean, if fans are allowed in the ground, I'm sure it'll be a good welcome back. Yeah,
so there's been 2 dates been put forward. I believe it's the weekend of August the 27th, and then September the 12th is the 2 return dates. What date would you like to see football return to lower leagues?
Ideally tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it does seem, I'm no scientist, but it seems crazy that people can go to the cinema, share a gym, share a swimming pool, go to the shops, but you can't stand in an open roofed stadium.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously the clubs need the support of the fans. They can't do it based on sponsorship alone. So hopefully we will be allowed, whether that's season ticket holders, reduced capacity. Most clubs will be able to deal with that anyway.
I mean, with our reduced capacity, I don't think we were breaking any further than maybe 7,000 fans last season, so it may not be an issue for us.
Yeah.
But the financial side of the club, obviously, we've seen a lot of issues with HMRC surrounding Ron Martin. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think we could potentially survive as a club next year?
Probably. Well, personally, I'd say no. But hearing Ron speak, hearing all the players who've played for him speak, it probably is in a better situation than what's made out. I mean, the late wages isn't good for anyone. When I was speaking to Mark Bentley, they were doing that in 2006.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that's a lack of money or bad planning, but I don't know. I mean, I think there's clubs with a worse situation than we're in.
I mean, even if we can't bring in sort of players through the transfer market, we haven't really been able to do that on a permanent basis over the last few years. We've seen a lot of loans brought in. Obviously, Leighton and Dukwu came in, then very quickly disappeared. Was really weird. Same with Liam Ridgewell. I think he played just 27 minutes against Blackpool last season at home. Do you think that the youngsters will be able to step up yet again, especially being in League Two now?
I mean, League Two is a very physical league. You don't really need much skill. But I think we will. I think if it was a normal season and we went down with our team, we'd struggle. But obviously, due to the coronavirus, a lot of teams will be without key players. So I think they will have to use their youth team, and we might. I'm not saying we'll do well next season, but the fact that them youth players have had half a season to get used to it could probably help us in the long run.
I mean, we've all had a lot of questions surrounding whether we'll bounce back up next year. League Two probably, or debatably, is the hardest league out of the top 4 divisions in England. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think, would you be happy staying in League Two with our current situation, or would you prefer, obviously, to see us bounce back up straight away?
Yeah, I think the fans who think we'll come back up need to lower their expectations a bit.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
it's much more realistic we'll be in a relegation battle next year than a promotion battle. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I think the next managerial appointment will be the difference between whether we are a non-league club or a football league club in a decade's time.
I think this is probably one of the biggest decisions any club has made across the EFL in the last few years.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Who would you like to see come through then as manager? There's been a lot of speculation, obviously, revolving Kevin Mayer. Adam Barrett looks very unlikely, as we saw Chris Phillips say, who's the chief reporter of the Echo, for you who don't know. He said he's very unlikely. He's very highly rated at Millwall. Steve Tilson, but who for you would you like to see come in and do the job?
Yeah, I mean, initially, I think like most fans, you do want Adam Barrett to come in. I mean, you spoke to him, how much of a great person he is. And the fact that Millwall do rate him highly says everything you need to know. But I think Barrett will always be my first choice whenever there is a vacancy at the club.
Yeah.
But I think we need our own Paul Sturrock of this generation. We need someone with the resources, someone who can steady the ship, because, Phil Brown couldn't steady the ship. Chris Powell couldn't steady it. Kevin Bond, Gary Waddock, and ultimately Sol. It's only so often you can blame the manager for what's going wrong.
And especially, like you said, we've had so many managers in the past few seasons. I think as a club, we were very stable with our managers. Obviously, Paul Sturrock, Steve Tilson when he was here, even down to Phil Brown, who was here for a couple of years, done really well with the club, but we still haven't had that stability in sort of the last decade that we've managed to have in previous years. Do you think we'll be able to gain that stability back, and sort of that title was quite a big club?
I think so. I mean, I think the problem started when obviously Steve Kavanagh left for Millwall. And Ron's kind of tried to save money and do it all by himself, but it's shown that you can't really do it all by yourself. A director of football is probably just as important for us right now as a manager is, and if we get that, then we probably will be able to steady our ship again.
And with the player situation too, it's not been great, like I said, for the last few seasons. A lot of youth players brought in, but we've seen Tom Clifford given a new professional contract, like many others. Congratulations to them. But what do you think about bringing in new players to the club? Do you think we need to really, really bolster our squad for next season?
I think we do need some signings. The players have shown that they are ready for the fight. But at the same time, that's not all you need. You do need someone with a bit of quality. Someone who's experienced, someone who can get you through them tough periods. So, I mean, if the transfer embargo is up, I don't know if it is, we definitely need to sign some players.
And obviously, we saw sort of Ron Martin's tactics bring a big name to the clubs, like Sol Campbell. What for you, do you think that we need to do that again, or do you think we really need a good manager with a loan name who can bring up them youth players and make them high quality players too?
Yeah, I think Chris Phillips said it best. It's time for the best name, not the biggest. I mean, it's all very well having someone who will get the news reporters down to the club. If they can't do it on the training ground, there's no point. I'd rather have someone I've never heard of who can do a good job than, say, Henrik Larsson, who know nothing about English football. Yeah,
because obviously we saw the likes of Danny Cowley and his brother, both Essex boys. They done fantastic at Lincoln, brought them through the leagues, moved on to Huddersfield, didn't do so well. I think it's time to sort of see a partnership like that brought back to football maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's lots of, like Jamie Vardy, from a playing perspective, non-league does have them gems. And if you find it, well, then you're laughing. Yeah.
And like we said, with the players, we saw Brandon Goodship come in, turned out to be quite a decent player, brought him in from Weymouth. Do you think there could be more National League players that we should be able to bring in now we're in League Two?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, when I spoke to Kevin Bond, he said we got Goodship on a free. Which, I mean, that's good going. And I mean, it's better than signing has-been who's always injured on big wages. There's no point. There's not that stability in the club. So I'm sure there's loads there. We just have to find them.
Yeah, and we've seen quite a few departures from the club this summer. We saw Mark Milligan, Luke Hyam, Sam Manson all leave. So the midfield is one of the biggest gaps at the moment. I think that always has been our weak point, along with our central defence. For you, do you feel like it was a wrong decision to let some of them go?
No, I think I agree with all of them. I mean, I wouldn't be sad if Maka left. I mean, it would be good to have him still at the club, but I think the one player we do need to keep is John White. He's been through the best moments, he's been through the bad. he is what you'd call a role model, and probably more important than any signing we could make.
And I think one thing we've seen as well, excuse me, we saw with John White, like you said, captain in the club and things like that, I think has been quite an issue. We saw Mark Oxley try and step up to the plate. We saw Timothy Dieng, Sam Manton. Who for you, if you had to choose one of the players at the club at the moment, do you think should be permanent captain?
For me, John White.
Mm.
You know, he was captain when we won promotion. And all right, he's not the loudest player on the pitch. He's not someone who would probably go up for a scrap if your team needed it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've not heard a bad word said about him by any manager, any player. You know, even when I spoke to him myself, you could see straight away how well he wants the club to do.
Do you think there's a reason behind why he hasn't been named as captain?
I think when managers come in, they always want to put their stamp on things. You know, one of the big things that Kevin Bond spoke to me about was that there was a real lack of confidence in the side. And, you know, we've been a losing mentality team for 2-3 years. And, you know, even as big a role model you are, you can't change that. And we signed Mark Milligan on paper, World Cup captain, biggest competition in the world, not just football, in any sport. You know, on paper, that is a quality signing for a leadership. But I think the problems are so deep-rooted, even he struggled to turn things around.
And do you think it has to sort of deal with the pressure of the club? Obviously, like we said, the financial issues, the last few seasons, they've been dreadful. I think it's the only word we can really give for it. We've always sort of been quite a high-aiming club. We've always tried to find our way back to the Championship, like any club, in truth, in the EFL. Do you think the problems are revolving the chairman?
You know, I mean, if you dig down my Twitter, you'd probably find a month where I think he's the worst chairman in the world and a month where I think he's probably good. But, you know, he can never be doubted for backing the manager. Apart from Sol, he has backed every manager we've had. But maybe investing all your money is a good thing. But if you're not investing it in the right places, that's not a good thing. So, you know, I think we spent so much money 3 years ago trying to get into the playoffs and, you know, missing out by a point. I think we're paying the price for that now.
And especially we saw a lot of speculation about the new stadium being built. I spoke previously with a few guests about how that could boost us back up. And I believe it may have been Adam Barrett who said a stadium's not going to push you back through the leagues. Do you sort of agree with that? Do you think we really need to focus on what's right at the moment?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I probably wouldn't believe anything about the stadium until I see that first brick built.
Yeah.
But just because you've got a fancy new pitch in the changing room, that doesn't mean you're going to... You know, West Ham have seen it. They thought they'd be playing Champions League football. They're 3 games away from the Championship.
Yeah. So, like we said, with revolving sort of the background of the club, it's not looking good at the moment. Hopefully we can bolster our squad, get back to League One. Just to sort of round up, we said we're going to just go through sort of the predictions with our kits for the future and your favourite Southend United 11. We've seen a lot of speculation on Twitter revolving the kits. I think we've heard quite a few people linked with the club who have said it's potentially one of the best we've ever seen. What would you like to see with the kits this season, home and away?
I mean, I love a retro kit. I don't like the boring Nike, you know, plain blue with a tick.
Yeah.
You know, I think seeing Hummel's kits that they've done for the other teams, we probably will get a good one. I would like to see a yellow maybe for our away trip. But yeah, I mean, as long as I'll buy it anyway, whether it's good or ugly. Yeah,
I think essentially it's not what the kit looks like, it's who's playing in it. And,
definitely.
Especially that's shown in the last few seasons. But like you said, a yellow away shirt returning, especially from this season as well, would be nice. Just to round up, you said that you're going to sort of talk about your favourite Southend United 11. So if you'd like to go through your list and explain why.
Yeah, so it was a bit late notice.
Yeah, it was. It was literally 5 minutes before the video. I said to Rylee, really sorry, I forgot. Do you want to write yours down? So it's my fault if there's a few mishaps in between. So, yeah.
So I've done it I've seen them live, so not my all time. In goal, I had Dan Bentley. Doesn't really need an explanation.
Had to be.
Went to the same school as me. You know, local lad.
Oh, wow.
Saved a penalty at Wembley. You know, performed year in, year out, and now in the Championship. Right back, I went for League Two John White, captain for the playoffs. Leader, defends well.
All round great guy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Two centre backs. I think the first one's no surprise. Adam Barrett.
Had to be.
What I just said about John White. Leader, loves the club, loves the fans, nicest guy you could speak to, and doing well at Millwall. Other centre back, I went for a loanee, Taylor Moore. When I remember when I first saw him, I had no idea who he was. All I knew was that he'd been at Cheltenham. You're probably thinking, have we signed a good player?
Yeah.
Quickly put me wrong. Man of the match in most games we played, and nice guy. He's helped out at the charity match a lot, and I can't thank him enough for that. And that's similar to my left back, who's Sam Hart. Again, probably wasn't happy with his start at the club. Bit shaky in his debut, but he got better every time. He donated his match-worn Sunderland shirt, which went, I think, around 250 quid, which, shows how nice they are. I would have had Ben Coker, but I wasn't a fan of him rejecting a contract at the end of last season.
Yeah.
Right wing, I went for someone who's maybe not everyone's cup of tea, David Worrell.
Very underrated.
Definitely. I mean, he was a good player. And, I always think back to that free kick he scored at Bury on the Tuesday night. Couldn't doubt his effort when he played, and he did have those moments of magic. Next midfielder, scored a banger the weekend, Ryan Leonard.
Brilliant goal.
Absolute engine. I think he won our Player of the Decade, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe he did, done by the Echo.
Yeah, and, you could never fault him. He did his best. Probably stayed a bit too long at the club in the end.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not too late for him at Millwall. I know things didn't work out in Sheffield, but hopefully, like I said, he can solidify his place. Next to him, another, probably the most underrated player at any football club I've seen, Will Atkinson.
Yeah, I think I spoke to Simon Cox about that too,
Yeah. You wouldn't have him down as the most technical player at the club, you wouldn't have him getting the goals and the assists. But I think I read during the Euros, the 2016 Euros, Will Atkinson averaged more miles a game at League One than any player at the Euros, which says everything.
That's work rate, yeah.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
and when he left, you could see how exposed Dimitri was. Like I said, when Atkinson left, the other midfielder, push him out wide, probably just because he can play left back. Michael Timlin. Any man who bleeds blood for the club can go straight into my team.
Yeah.
Crucial part in when we got promoted, but not only that, nice guy, and did put 110% every time he put on the shirt.
Absolute warrior as well with that injury
Definitely.
at Stevenage in the first leg.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that he still wanted to play on, even though half his head is on the floor. Fair play.
Yeah.
Next striker, top goal scorer for us when we got promoted, Irishman, Barry Core. Big Bad Baz. Fan favourite, and I'm not surprised. I mean, great guy, great goal scorer, and good to see him doing well at Cambridge now. And the final striker I have is someone who's scored a very important goal last season, Stephen Humphreys.
Oh yeah, had to be.
Even though we've not seen the best of him, having spoken to him a lot of times, he does seem like one of the most genuine footballers you can come across. I mean, he broke his face against Accrington. 3 months later, he's putting his body on the line to help us stay in League One.
Yeah.
I probably no one knows about this, but after the Lincoln game, when we lost 4-0, I was probably annoyed as any other fan. And I got a message out of the blue, hadn't spoken to him, just apologising for how bad they were. I thought he didn't have to do that.
No.
Especially when, you are the striker and we've let him 4 goals. But I thought that was a nice touch. We've kept in touch over the past season, and you can really see how much he cares about the club. And obviously he donated his Sunderland shirt, which went for £750. So great man. Yeah.
And like we said, obviously the rumours surrounding the departures, one of them was him potentially going back up to League One, which wouldn't surprise many, but I think it would be a shame to see him leave. We still haven't seen maybe his full potential, and hopefully we can see that in the next few seasons if he does stay. Rylee, thank you very much for joining us today. Like I said, I'll leave the link to all of Rylee's socials and Essex Charity Cup shirts and the link to donate in the description. The link to all of our other Shrimpers Talks videos. Sorry for the delay in the upload. We will try and get more out in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. And we'll see you all next time on Shrimpers Talks. Thank you.